For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Ukrainian officials say they found a mass grave carrying more than 400 dead bodies in Ukraine in a region recently recaptured from Russian forces. A Ukrainian prosecutor says some of the bodies unearthed show signs of torture. He said today some of their hands had been tied behind their backs and ropes were around their necks. Police said the mass burial grave site in a forest contained 445 graves. It was discovered close to Izium after a rapid counteroffensive by Ukrainian forces retook the northeastern city and much of the Kharkiv region. Ukraine's deputy interior minister, meanwhile, said they also found evidence Russian forces set up multiple torture chambers where both Russians and foreigners were detained. Yesterday marked a national day of action across the U.S. to promote peace, not war, in Ukraine. In the U.S., President Joe Biden says white supremacists will not have the last word. He gave the keynote address at the first-of-its-kind White House Summit on Hate-Fueled Violence. Christopher Martinez reports.
The White House event brought together community leaders, government officials, activists, and survivors and family members affected by hate violence. Susan Breaux is the mother of a young woman killed in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
The driver admitted in court that it was a crime of hate, an attempted mass murder that only killed one person.
Later, President Joe Biden gave the keynote speech. He told how he decided to run for president after the Charlottesville killing, and he also recalled then-President Donald Trump's comment about fine people on both sides. That's not Biden's approach.
In America, evil will not win. It will not prevail. And white supremacists will not have the last word. And this venom and violence cannot be the story of our time.
He also announced new actions, including federal resources for schools to prevent bullying and hate violence, a citizens' initiative to foster community dialogue, and $1 billion in philanthropic investments in programs to build bridges between different communities. Reporting for Pacifica Radio News, I'm Christopher Martinez.
The White House has denounced the actions of Republican governors Ron DeSantis of Florida and Greg Abbott of Texas, who've sent plane loads and bus loads of immigrants to what they view as liberal havens like New York City, Martha's Vineyard, and even the Washington, D.C. home of Vice President Kamala Harris. Here's White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
Republican governors interfering in that process and using migrants as political pawns is shameful, is reckless, and just plain wrong.
The immigrants were transferred to places where they could receive services. DeSantis says he was sending them to sanctuary destinations. Florida's lawmakers earmarked $12 million to do that. California Governor Gavin Newsom is weighing in. He sent a letter to the Department of Justice urging an investigation into the Republican governor's practice, including an investigation into charges of kidnapping and civil rights violations. Democrats have largely called the move a callous political stunt. At the height of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, white supremacist lawmakers had sent blacks in busloads to northern cities like Martha's Vineyard, where many of them ultimately resettled. Former President Donald Trump warned of possible violence if he's indicted by the Justice Department for his retention and handling of classified documents at his Florida Mar-a-Lago residence. He made a statement in an appearance on the Hugh Hewitt radio show.
I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it.
Days after the Mar-a-Lago search, a man reportedly armed with an AR-15 assault weapon tried to breach the FBI Cincinnati office. He was later killed in a shootout. Oil executives ducked a House hearing on oil prices and profits Thursday. The House Oversight Committee released a 22-page memo detailing the fossil fuel companies' attempts to greenwash their plans for a long-term fossil fuel future. Ro Khanna is a California Democrat.
The dark money behind the scenes. I mean, they are lobbying. These documents show they're lobbying the industries to say, don't commit to the Paris Accords, don't commit to anything, don't put it in our business plans, while they're parading up for the American public that they're committed to clean policy.
The memo and internal company documents the committee released show carbon capture as a choice of greenwashing. It's a practice that some environmental and indigenous groups have long criticized that takes carbon emissions and stores them in the ground. One BP internal document finds carbon capture and storage could enable the full use of fossil fuels across the energy transition and beyond. It says an internal Shell email urges not talking about carbon capture as prolonging the life of oil, gas, or fossil fuels writ large. A ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan is holding following 2 days of fighting that have killed more than 176 soldiers on both sides. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.